As a Peace Corps volunteer, meeting people and learning a different culture is all just part of the job. It's an everyday kind of thing. And today, you can join me and see what life is like. Kuno Ku Malawi. Today, we are traveling to Nkhotakota National Park along the lakeshore of central Malawi. It's the biggest wildlife reserve in Malawi, a new home for 500 elephants, and the site of one of our Peace Corps response volunteers, Betsy.
So this right here is the dried Bua River bed. So during rainy season, this will be flowing rapidly. But now you can see there's quite a few elephant footprints and dung, because elephants will hang out around here quite a bit. Right after the rainy season, when this water is still flowing, it's quite beautiful here.
The park is undeniably beautiful, with 700 square miles of rugged forested terrain and tumbling rivers that snake down to a glimmering lake. The scenery already made the trip worthwhile. Of course, we had more than just scenery in mind when we walked down to the river.
So that baby elephant over there, I think, is from a cow that was translocated, and she was translocated when she was pregnant. So she actually had her calf 5 months after she arrived in Nkhotakota. So this is one of our very newest members from those translocated elephants from last year. So yeah, it's special.
It was no accident that we encountered these elephants along the riverside. For the past year, Betsy has been participating in the translocation of elephants and antelope species from an overpopulated reserve in southern Malawi. These are just a few of the new residents that now call Nkhotakota home. It's no accident either that Betsy ended up here as a volunteer. After our short excursion, I talked to Betsy to figure out just how she ended up in this special place.
My name is Betsy Holtz. I arrived in Malawi March of 2014. I studied wildlife management in Kenya and Tanzania. And so that, I think, is when I really fell in love with conservation within Africa and wildlife management within Africa. So but I kind of just yearned to get back into the field, really working with wildlife in their natural habitat and doing conservation with communities on the ground. So that's what kind of encouraged me to join Peace Corps. And I was an environmental extension agent for 2 years in the communities bordering Nkhotakota Wildlife Reserve. So Peace Corps Response is more focused one-year position where you're working with a specific organization trying to build the capacity within that organization. So my response position is with the conservation organization African Parks at Nkhotakota Wildlife Reserve, which is one of the reserves that they're managing within Malawi. And for them, I'm working under their field operations as a field biologist. Just shortly after I started my response position, African Parks started a wildlife translocation where they're translocating elephants as well as other antelope species from parks in southern Malawi up to our reserve. So during that operation, I was in charge of recording each release for social media or for monthly reporting. And then I also started radio tracking the collared elephants that we received. And I've trained about 10 scouts how to do the radio tracking with the elephants. And that allows us to keep track of them, make sure that they're still within the sanctuary area, and hopefully in the future it will allow us to track their actual movements around the reserve. I've done illustration work for park pamphlets, I've designed wildlife posters, all different sorts of projects. And so this position has basically been exactly what I aspire to do, working with scouts, but then also being able to bring in my illustration skills and use that to contribute to a conservation project is kind of what I love and I'm very passionate about.
The Peace Corps experience is vast and varied. Every volunteer brings their own skills, passions, and experiences to their communities. While being an extremely unique service, Betsy's story is just one of over 200,000 stories from volunteers who have served. Every volunteer service contributes towards an American legacy that spans the past 50 years. Here at Peace Corps Malawi, our volunteers continue that proud tradition of service. Now, you ready to see more elephants?
Can you hear the beep? Yep, so that's the caller. Can you see?
Yeah.
We have 12 elephants in this truck. Okay, so I'm gonna get up on top.
All right. Like over here.
Just watch. This is where the trunks can come up. Just come in front of you.
Okay.
And then you're good. So you. I'm just gonna try and focus this. Seven? You just want to see if they're moving up through the trees. You can hear these ones just in the trees right up on the top of that hill. But yeah, should get down. We want to open this door.
Can't get enough of Peace Corps Malawi?
Then subscribe over here.
Go on, click it.
We're waiting.